right. Yeah. All right, this is sort of what we were just talking about. Okay, so there's lots of things. People who tell me I don't have time to exercise. Since I had kids, I have a new sense of respect for that, because when my kids were really tiny, I had 2 kids in less than a year and a half, and when my second one was born, I didn't have time to exercise. I had no one to watch my kids. I was, in some sort of fog that I barely remember at the time. But I would take them to the park or something, and I would watch your kids play. Okay? Do what your kids do. You'll be exhausted, okay? My husband and I talk about that. We watch our kids around our house, and they'll be in one room, and they'll say, I have to go potty. Woo! And they run by. Oh, I want a snack. And they run over. It's like, when do we stop running everywhere? Like, at what age do you just stop running everywhere that you go? And they just zip by in the house. But it's this natural instinct that they are so much more active than we are as adults. And so playing with the kids, really play with them. Do what they do. Try to emulate their behavior. You'll be exhausted. Try and play on park equipment if you take your kids to the park. I mean, it's exhausting if you try and walk across the monkey bars. So gardening, working in the yard, dancing, all these things that show Dancing with the Stars has kind of been a movement towards dance for exercise. It's a great form of physical activity. So all of those things can be exercise. It doesn't have to be in a gym. Hiking, we live in such a fabulous place. So that's a great thing to take your kids to do, or your family to do on a Saturday. Say, hey, let's go hike and find one of the many trails that surround our valley and get them outside doing that stuff as well. These things also, those of you who said I don't so much enjoy the cardio, is a great way to incorporate cardio into your diet, into your routine, and that is maybe doing something outside like hiking, if that's something that you enjoy as well. The good thing about hiking also is the elevation change, and that is really a great tool to burn more calories. So if we get on a treadmill, how many of you walk on treadmills? Some of you? Okay. So we get on a treadmill, we just push start, and typically just walk, right? All right, so maybe you jog. How boring, okay? I lose my mind. So Tanya and I were talking about this, I think on Monday, and what the most effective fat burning, calorie burning, cardio routine is what we call interval training. How many of you have heard of intervals? Okay, so classes like Body Pump probably are built on, hopefully are built on a concept of good interval training. But you should never do 30 minutes of cardio at the same intensity. Okay, the most basic rule, and it's much more scientific than this, is the 30-30 rule. And this is what the American College of Sports Medicine now recommends because it's really basic, but you can do anything. The 30-30 rule is you go 30 seconds pushing yourself, and then rest, go at a rest pace for 30 seconds. So, but you can do, I would recommend doing 1-minute intervals, then building a couple of intervals together, so maybe you're doing 3 minutes at a harder pace. So if you're on a treadmill and you walk, you don't want to run. How many of you don't run? Okay, so some of you don't run. Fine, don't ever have to run, okay? But crank that treadmill up, all right? Crank it up as far as it will go. 15% incline, hopefully those treadmills at the Y go to. All right, crank it up. You're walking uphill. You will barely make a minute at your same pace, if you can make a minute, okay? So factor that in. All of a sudden, crank it up. Then lower that incline a little bit and let your heart rate go down a little bit for a minute. Then crank it back up. All right, pretty soon, if you do this for 20 minutes, your routine will be twice as effective as just walking at that same pace for an hour. And so really switch it up, or go to a light jog. Push yourself on speed, okay? Go, if you walk, go to the fastest walking pace that you can without running. Okay, so my husband and I are a little bit competitive, and we don't work out together because one of us has to be home with the kids, but we always run intervals in our workouts. And so when I first started back with my current workout routine, I ran at an 8 speed. So then, I don't know, he said something or I said something, so I started running at a 9. So now we run at 10 speed, okay, 10 miles an hour for a minute or a minute and a half intervals. And so then now he just bet me that I can get to 12, so that's going to be a goal for next month. That I can do my intervals at 12 miles an hour, which is really fast, so you can never keep it up for more than probably a minute and a half. But that's the point of interval training. The thing is, on Monday, I ran my interval at 15% incline at 6 speed. It took me 5 minutes to recover from that 1 minute interval, okay? And usually if I run at 10 speed on a flat treadmill, that next minute I'm fine into my next, I do total circuit training into my next activity, I can do it fine. 5 minutes and I was still like this, okay? Out of breath, heart racing. It took me 5 minutes because of the incline. So it's really important that you switch that up. It's a good challenge, and it makes it kind of fun. So if you create games with yourself a little bit. If you want, if you're an organized person, you can create a 20-minute interval program and you can say, okay, this is what I'm going to do every minute. And create that program, and you have 20 minutes of cardio. You don't need to be doing more than 20 minutes of cardio to get full effects if you do the proper interval training. And if you guys have more questions on that, I can talk to you guys about it more. But that's the best way to incorporate cardio into your workouts. The other thing is to do things like body pump classes that hopefully are designed to keep your heart rate elevated. So you may be doing strength training. Same thing, those of you who like to lift weights. Don't take rests between sets. Go from one exercise directly into the next exercise, okay? That's old school bodybuilding training, okay? We don't need to train like that. We're training to be healthy and to be fit. And so set up 3 exercises. Say, okay, I'm going to do bicep curls, I'm going to do hang clean to a press, and I'm going to do triceps. And lay them all out and go for a minute. Forget the 10 sets or 12 sets. Go for a minute, move to the next one, do a minute, go to the next one, and then start again. So even if you're just strength training, you create a circuit like that. Not only are you building muscle and increasing strength, but now your heart rate is elevated, and so there's a cardio component. Then maybe you do that twice, then you jump on a treadmill for 2 minutes or on a spin bike for 2 minutes and do a cardio interval. Then you go back and do your strength interval again, or you do 3 different exercises on your strength interval. Okay, so now our workouts are fun because they're more dynamic. There's something going on, and they're much more effective because we're doing different things, and you know they're very fast-paced. The other thing is that most of you women probably know it's extremely important to be doing weight-bearing exercises and not to be afraid to lift weights. It's so important for our health in the long term, so definitely don't be afraid of that. Okay.